Jacque, you in danger, girl. You know you done messed up, right? And I can't save you. Okay? I cannot save you. And Margaret Josephs, you are absolutely a friend to none. And this is coming from someone who actually liked Marge in the beginning, but now, whoo, child, Marge, I am so disappointed. But naturally, we'll get into all that. As I like to always say, because it's true for me, I just truly see her more and more and more for her works. I guess maybe I was asleep on the Marge, but oh, now sis is awake. Okay, I am truly awake. But we'll definitely get into all of that because naturally we have to save the best for last. So, what is going on, y'all? I'm Taina B here to chat it up with y'all, party a little bit about this Real Housewives of New Jersey, season 14, episode number 7. So let's get into it. And so we pick up where we left off, which was pretty much the meetup with the Fudas, Teresa and Louis. And I will say I'm glad that the Fudas left that housewarming gift for Joe behind because given the nature of the energy and how they left things, I think that would have been oddly and eerily weird to carry that out. I guess it would have been a bonus if they did like, oh wow, okay, well, maybe deep inside within there y'all aren't that bad, but the more realistic approach was to leave it behind. And so we see Teresa imitating John, with his demands for an apology, and he was. And John, we pan to him and Rachel says that Teresa's apology wasn't sincere, but I honestly feel like she was doing what she thought was right. And I feel like the conversation really could have gone in a more positive direction had John not had such a stank approach to the situation. And again, like her or not, I hope that even people that don't care for Teresa could see, and I know there's a lot that won't, but I'm just hoping for the some, just a little bit, right? That will see that she really did try. She really did. I understand that, some folks may say, oh, well, like he said, she backtracked and all this other stuff. No, again, you have to look at the source of who you're dealing with, and like I said in my last video, Teresa is not somebody who freely gives away apologies. And she's not somebody who, she does more with, I guess, staying calm these days, but in times past, we know she could really just go off so easily. So it's like give her a little credit for that. But we know that's not going to happen. And so Rachel says Louis sat there and didn't say anything. And he left Teresa pretty much to bury herself, right? And I said, well, no, ma'am, absolutely not. Actually, what he was doing was playing chess, not checkers. And he was actually sitting there allowing your husband to make a fool of himself. And while you're saying that he didn't speak up, I think that you probably should have spoken up and told your husband to pipe down, but you didn't. Okay. And so now we pan over to Danielle waking her kids up for school. Next. And so we go to Dolores and she's, preparing lunch with her or for her adorable mom and her daughter Gabby, who stops by at Paulie's slash Dolores's home. And so Gabby, we know, is a vet, and Dolores let us know that she's pretty much been caring for Frank's dog because Lolly, who's the dog, has a tumor on her aorta. And so at this point, the dog is just on meds just to keep, the dog comfortable because at this point, it's just a situation that just can't be fixed. And now it's only a matter of days, before, things come to an end. And that's really sad. I'm sure a lot of dog lovers out there and pet lovers, that really touched the nerve and pulled at the heartstrings because, again, like with many people, your pets become your family, especially if they've been around for a while, especially if you're connected to them. So that truly sucked. And, I feel sorry that, not only the dog had to go through it because, well, the dog's not in pain now, but, you don't want the dog or the animal to be in pain. And then, too, as a, person with a soft heart, for your animal, that's hard to deal with, So, Gabby then pretty much brings up her mother and Paulie's slow moving relationship, and Dolores's mom feels like it's time for him to pretty much make moves as well. And she said that in but so many words, and just trying to put her daughter on game as she always does. And naturally, the record scratches at a point because Dolores says that he wants her to go into business with him, and so at this point, the her mom and daughter are looking at her like, girl, what? How we get here? And you're a little too excited about this. And so her daughter, pretty much starts making jokes. And Dolores sits and makes excuses. And I love Dolores, but I'm like, Dolores, come on now. You got to see the forest from the trees on this one. You've already been here before. And when we go through things, we don't always, but we should learn to do better, right? And take the tools necessary and apply them in the next situation. And so Dolores says it's the highest form of flattery when a man wants to make you a part of his business because we know what money means to men, right? And while she's right, we know men be about that bag. The bottom line is, I said, no, Dolores. Okay, you got to stand corrected, because the highest form of flattery is when a man doesn't act like and pretty much tell you you can leave, okay, if you want. And the highest form of flattery is when a man shows you that he's not willing to miss out on you as a good thing and puts a ring on it. Okay? That goes above the business. All right. As a matter of fact, I think that could be the highest form of flattery in a relationship when you're just dating someone, because that lets you know, oh, I really see it for you and I really love you, and there's no way I'm letting you go. And so Dolores says she's scared of feeling stupid, but Dolores, I mean, now I ain't gonna say that you look stupid, but I'm gonna say this out of love, Dolores. You know what I mean? Because a lot of us see it for you and we love you out here, but it's definitely not a good look. And again, I just can't understand when you have so much to offer the next person who's really willing and wanting to treat you like the treasure that you are. And so obviously these things for Dolores are deep rooted, and it just goes to show that, listen, even the baddest woman, can have these insecurities or issues within that she really needs to sort through, that can hinder her, in situations for the betterment of her own self. Forget the man of it all. It's like, you got to look out for you, Dolores, and make decisions that best serve you well. You know what I mean? Like, you're deserving of it on every level, in every way. Don't shortchange yourself, So hopefully she'll get it right sooner than later, right? Better late than later. And so now let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of it, all right? Forget all the fluff that happened after that, panning in this one's house, that one's house. Who cares about all that, right? So now we're at the housewarming, Melissa and Joe's housewarming. And Melissa and Joe's house looks beautiful. I think my favorite parts of the house from what we saw, I would say, are Melissa's office, because I absolutely love the glass walls. And I would say the pool, right? And so, sidebar, I said, what in the hell does Marge have on? Now, I know they had showed her at her home, showing Joe that she was going to wear it. I said, oh, Marge, please don't be so serious about that. If you don't put that back in the closet. I said, Marge is not wearing that. Then I said, no, this is Marge, because Marge, her looks tend to be very unique. She can look real nice sometimes, but other times I'm like, oh, wow. And then we see her walking up the driveway with that dress on. I said, okay, well, I guess I'm done. And so we now see where Rachel has arrived, and she pulls Melissa to the side and tells her that she and John met with Teresa and Louis earlier in the day. And she mentions Teresa's apology, naturally with her expectations set on it of how Teresa should have apologized, but didn't. And another sidebar, I said, you know me, I'm going to bring it up because I just can't help myself, but I'm going to keep bringing it up every time I see it, because listen, girl, you said it. So that settles it, and I'm on it. I said, did y'all see how Melissa was all in on the conversation? Okay. Never showed any disinterest or said, I don't want to talk about Teresa. I don't give a you know what about that woman. No, she was definitely here for all the tea. Totally. And so Rachel mentions the bottle that Teresa wanted them to give to, her brother for the housewarming. And Melissa pretty much says, well, listen, I'm glad y'all left it behind, because I wouldn't want that mess in my house anyway. Pan to Dolores walking up the driveway with the bottle in hand. I hollered. Absolutely loved it. Another sidebar. Then we see Melissa in her confessional calling Teresa fake. I said, wait, hold up. Did Melissa just call Teresa fake? Melissa called Teresa fake? I'm sorry, girl, what? You're calling somebody fake? So that is pretty much the pot calling the kettle. Okay, all right, okay. And so now we get to the backyard where Dolores goes and she presents the bottle to Joe on behalf of Teresa. And he's definitely triggered, from his hurting place, which makes sense. And he had some really great points in there, right? About pretty much why he couldn't accept that, or how he felt like it was a joke that his sister would offer that to them or to him. And they show a flashback, of Joe pretty much being kind to Louis and just extending grace and his arms into the family to him. And, pretty much to show to Joe's point, listen, I opened up my arms even to this man on behalf of my sister. And this is pretty much the thanks that I get. And we can't deny that. We really can't deny that, as I mentioned, even in, one of my reviews prior, and as we just know generally, Joe did make his efforts. He did, and so Jen Fesser says in her confessional that she doesn't feel that there was really any ill intent behind Teresa presenting the gift, but Joe's pretty much making a point, in front of his friends and families about it. And so, as we know, it just boils down to the fact that Joe and Teresa are just really part of a bad generational cycle. Again, we know their parents went through it, in terms of, I want to say maybe it was the dad who wasn't speaking to, what was Teresa and Joe's cousin's name? Rosie and, oh, what was the Kathy? Rosie and Kathy's, I think, mom or something like. So it's just it's what they do, right? And then I think, wasn't it a point where Joe wasn't speaking to his dad, or for a little stint of time? Like, it's just a mess. This is what they do, but I wish they would wake up to what it is and do better. You know what I'm saying? Again, like, just try to stop it here, because now it's affecting your kids, and this is going to carry on. Now you're them as cousins, they're divided, and y'all are letting them think that this is okay, and it's not. So I wish they would have both, put their best foot forward. And at this point, if we want to say, we place it a little more on Teresa to just really work on this and just come to a better, I don't know, just come to a more unified place genuinely, and stay there than what they have. But it just seems so impossible. And it's really sad at the end of the day, because again, you can tell that, he's still very much affected by it, as he should be. And I'm sure Teresa is too. She plays the tough. She doesn't care and all this other stuff, but she's got to. And so Joe pretty much says that, that's not an extension of an olive branch on his sister's behalf. He said, she said that she wished I was Ed, and you guys add the syllables before that to it. And, so it's like, for someone who says it about me, then now you want to give me a gift. And, at first I didn't agree, because I said people can have a change of heart, right? Teresa has done wrong in that sense, but maybe she's trying to do better. And so then when he said she doesn't reach out when the cameras aren't around, I said, okay, well then, yeah, Teresa, well, that's not good either. And I still kind of want to help her out a little bit and be like, well, maybe it's a thing where she fears rejection more on that level. Maybe it's a easier pill to swallow, when it's more, I don't know, when you have other forces that can kind of help, right? So for instance, you are able to pass the gift through someone to give to him, with the hopes of maybe he'll send me a text and thank me, and then I can call him, and then that kind of breaks the air. That's more somewhere I'm going with it. But at the same time, I feel Joe, because it's like, look, I'm your freaking brother, like, stop with the bull, pick up the phone and call me. Or you can even text, even if, to kind of maybe shut down some of her fears of rejection. I think a text, even, you know what I'm saying, is something that can help. But you never know with people. At the end of the day, the cards definitely are being played totally wrong. I will say that. And so Joe pretty much takes the card that Teresa had given him, which was attached to the bottle, and he burns it. He doesn't even open it, doesn't want to read it. He's just not here for it. And again, very sad situation. And so now we show all the girls are chatting. Sidebar, Melissa starting the conversation about her sister-in-law, asking Rachel if she told the girls that, they met up. I'm like, why? But okay. So Dolores pretty much chimes in and says, well, John mentioning that Teresa was the poster child for mortgage fraud, that wasn't necessary. And I agree. I think he, could have left that out of it. I don't even think it was that heated to the point where he needed to even go there, but he did. And so Rachel responds and tries to justify that by saying it's because Teresa said, how dare you talk about Jaden's mother? And I'm like, when she say that? When did Teresa say that? Teresa definitely did not say that. If anything, I think she was trying to operate in defense of John by saying, oh, well, hold on, like kind of hold the phone. You don't want this to kind of bite you in the butt. Like, try not to mention it since it's Jaden's mom. Like, I really think Teresa was trying to look out in that moment. And so naturally, Rachel took that and she flipped it to fit her narrative of making, again, Teresa look like the bad guy. And so Rachel also says, I'll punch you in the effing face. And I'm like, girl, you want to bust a grape. Let's start there. And I'd love to see you make the attempt to punch Teresa in the face. Okay. You definitely would have the right one. And while, others would say, oh, Teresa's not that tough. She ain't the big bad wolf. But at the end of the day, she ain't no match for Rachel. I'll tell you that. Say what you want to say. And so I said, here's where I need, again, Rachel to grow up. She said she's pissed, or she's pissed and she says only her and John know the story, I guess, as it relates to Jaden's mother. And I'm like, okay, exactly. You said it. So if that's the case, if it's just between the two of y'all and only y'all are privy to that, then why would you get mad at someone for what they know nothing about? Right. And that can go both ways, because then you could say, yeah, well, then that's even more of a reason why you shouldn't speak on it, because you don't know about it. But it's like to want to punch somebody in the face and get pissed off. Like, grow up, Rachel. Seriously. And I said, thank you, Jen Aiden, for saying, I think if you would have accepted the apology, it would have, it wouldn't have gotten to that point. And it wouldn't have. They definitely, like I said a little earlier, they could have moved on. And so Jacque now chimes in. I'm like, oh God, and says Melissa and Margaret were in Rachel's ear. So there was no way that, Rachel was going into that meetup friendly. And I totally agree, because I said, listen, if Margaret can pull together a group to come meet at her house the night before a reunion to set up a takedown, then of course she'll be in somebody's ear. And Marge runs that mouth anyway, so it ain't hard to tell. So I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't she be in Rachel's ear? And we know that she is. We know how Marge gets down by now, and she's connected to Rachel, and she sees Rachel as her little lovey. At this point, she's definitely in her ear, and Melissa is as well. And so Jacque said it doesn't sound like John had any interest in reconciling with Louis, and didn't. Rachel said he wanted to hear Louis out and have a gentleman-like conversation. Lies. John's telling the guys his side of the story, And sidebar, did y'all see Joe's face when John was talking? I said, oh my God, the way that Joe is about to blow up any second, like he was so not here for it at all. And again, I guess it's still that hurt place, but at the same time, it looked like he was in a little somewhat tug of war, because I noticed even just more of a shift, in his face when John was even bringing up, Gia. And so I'm sure in Joe's mind, he was like, oh, now you talking about my niece. Hold on, bro. Where you going with this? Because I mean, that's still my family at the end of the day. And it's sad, because again, his niece is not even speaking to him, but yet, there's still that level of protection, I guess, inwardly for her. And that's just my own assessment. I could be totally wrong, but that's the way it seemed to me. And so now we have Margaret, who approaches Jacque after Dolores, shares the comment about how was that what I think when shares the comment about what was just said, how pretty much Melissa and Margaret are all up in Rachel's ear. So Marge didn't like that. So in the back and forth, Margaret pretty much, because she goes up to Jacque like, oh no, I'm not about to let this ride. I'm gonna go up to her right now. So she tells Jacque, oh, you're so defensive. And I said, girl, I know she's so defensive. Girl, you almost had a whole full heart attack when you found out that Jen Fessler had a conversation with Teresa. So please don't, Marge. Please just stop. And so Jacque says, you're mad that I'm friends with Teresa. And Marge says, no, I'm not. And the lie detector determined that was a lie, because we know that's exactly where all of this is stemming from, Margaret Josephs. We ain't no fool over here. And so here comes the underhanded just work and just deception and just I'm going to keep it cute and just say unnecessarily, that is Marge, right? Because then she goes, because now she's showing her feelings about what Jacque just said that was not even that serious. Yes, Jacque had an opinion, but it's not like the girl just cussed you out. It's not even like she just said what she said about Dolores, which we're about to get into. Like, again, this is just stemming from your emotions about her befriending Teresa. So she goes and tells Dolores that Jacque was pissed off because Dolores didn't tag her in the photo at the charity event that Dolores threw. And so one would think, okay, well, that's not the biggest deal, right? Principal point for me, because I feel like this is Marge starting the mess. See, now you're mad and in your feelings. So now you want to go, start to light a fire like you always do, right? And she did. And what does she do? What she does best, she walks away, right? She lights the match. She walks away. She's watching from behind the scenes, standing there with her husband. Now, Joe decides he wants to get himself involved, which I didn't like either. I'm like, Joe, shouldn't you be somewhere with the guys? Like, why are you over here with your wife entertaining this? But even before then, we see a quick little scene where Danielle is talking to Jennifer Aiden about the whole Lena situation. Don't really want to get into all the back and forth of what they had going on because it wasn't as interesting. I feel like in spite of Danielle pretty much explaining her side of things, she still was not justified in what she did to that lady. But nevertheless, I'm glad that Jen Aiden made a point to tell her, I still don't like what you did. And that's not how you treat people. Facts. And so they make up, okay, fine. So now let's get back to the whole Dolores and Marge and Jacque of the situation, right? And so now while Dolores is talking to Jacque about the whole photo that Jacque wasn't tagged in, Marge's messy self in that moment then texts Dolores, right, with the screenshot where Jacque is calling Dolores an effing slob. Oh gosh, I said, oh my gosh, this isn't good. This is not good. This is not good. Because when you got receipts, it's over. Okay? When you got receipts, when you got the evidence, when you got the smoking gun, you going to jail. Okay? You going back in them cuffs and you're done. There's no talking about it. There's no nothing. The proof is right there in your face. And I said, oh my God, the way I was melting for Jacque, but still at the same time pissed at Jacque, like, Jacque, really? Oh my gosh. And so Jacque tries to do damage control, but again, that bomb exploded. Once that message was sent, that bomb exploded. And so we see Jacque in her confessional, and she says she was referring to the situation, not Dolores. And this is what she's trying to tell Dolores, right, at the same time. Matter of fact, no, rewind. She's actually trying to explain to Dolores, not in the confessional, that, she was talking about the situation, not her. Girl, you can't win. Because even if you were talking about the situation was connected to Dolores. Okay? But even with that, you didn't say the situation. You specifically said she is an effing slob, referring to Dolores Catania. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh, this is so bad. You are being descriptive of the noun, the person, the thing, when you called her a slob. You just can't wiggle your way out of that. And so she tries again to justify it even in her confessional, and it was a no-go. Like, it's one of them situations where you'll sit there and you'll listen to somebody explain themselves to their blue in the face, and you're like, okay, all right, yeah, but no. Like, there's no hope, there's no win, none of that. And so I'm with Dolores, where I'm from too, that's a pretty nasty word. And I can appreciate Dolores pretty much being like, roll out my face and give me 50 feet. Because you about to get the business. What I'm giving you right now is a little fizzle pop of what's about to come. Because Dolores wasn't here for it. Pretty much put herself, or put Jacque in her place, in a cute but mild enough fashion, where she was like, girl, you played yourself. I also like too how she definitely made a point to mention, because Jacque was like, and I'm mad that Jacque was trying to wiggle her way out of this by saying this, but Jacque was pretty much saying to Dolores also, well, At the end of the day, Margaret has said some nasty things about you and Paulie or something to that effect. And Dolores, I was like, checkmate, was like, yeah, but at least she was smart enough not to write it down or put it in text. And that's one thing they teach you too in the world of law. I think Judge Million in the People's Court even says it too. Like, say it, forget it, write it, regret it. Like, oh my gosh, girl. Like Dolores said, yeah, but she was smart. Okay. She was pretty much smarter than you because she knew not to write that down, which you did. So you're done. Again, to my point, I still like though that, when Dolores was pretty much checking Jennifer again in the confessional, she also made it a point to say, pretty much Margaret and Paulie, I see y'all too. Pretty much keep my name out y'all mouths as well. And so we now see the cameras pan to Margaret, and she's going off about Jacque and all this other stuff. But in that, she says, and I love Jacque. And I'm like, really, Marge? Because this is how you show love, right? This is how you show love on Mad Day. This is why I tell you again, Marge cannot be trusted. I told you on the last review, anybody that got 50,000 million trillion 11 best friends, she don't even know how to be a friend to one. How you have all those best friends? Marge plays real dirty. She plays really dirty, and she's not somebody, if I was standing back taking mental notes, I wouldn't fool with Marge. I just really wouldn't, because I know what she's capable of doing when she's no longer rocking with you, and I feel like, again, this is all because of where Jacque stands with Teresa. And I'd rather her just come out and say that than to deflect and try to use all these other minute excuses to make this big thing. Like, just be honest and be real, but like, yo, I'm so pissed with you for messing with her that I'm done with you. Just keep it straight up a bean, but Marge can't do that. So anyways, y'all, at this point, I need to know what y'all think. Please don't be shy to get in the comments and talk to me. Let me know your thoughts. I said, listen, the beat just dropped, y'all. The beat just dropped at the party. So it's time to get on the dance floor. Get in them comments. Let's go with it. I know y'all watch what I watch. I know there's no way that you could have nothing, absolutely nothing to say after watching this episode, after seeing Dolores get into Jacque's behind just a little bit, after seeing Jacque be put out there on Front Street to pretty much melt. I know y'all saw it. So hit me up. Let me know y'all thoughts. I appreciate you guys greatly so much in advance for just taking the time to even stop by, just to view my little video, see what I got to say. I appreciate you all again who leave the comments for me to give me something to think about more. The comments have definitely been hitting. They may not have been a lot, but what do they teach you? It's the quality over the quantity, honey. And those have been some really quality comments, and I look forward to more. All right, so in the meantime, y'all, stay up, stay blessed. I'll be back next week to do it all over again. All right, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.